Hey everybody, Tom Barnes, stories from the 78. I'm talking to my friend Kate out in Lamont. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've known you for a long time. We
Yeah.
haven't been like besties in terms of like knowing somebody a long time, but we went to the same high school. We have a
Mhm.
connection that is your husband, Brian. I played Little League with Brian
Yeah.
when we were like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old,
Yes.
11, 12, probably all the way up to probably about 13.
Oh my God.
And then that's high school. And Stagg
Yeah.
High School is kind of where we all were in the same like time zone for a little while in our
Yeah.
lives. But
Yeah.
talk about your relationship with Brian, the
Sure.
things that have happened for people that don't know, and this the nonprofit that you have and
Yes.
this event that you have coming up, because I think it's important to
Sure.
kind of backtrack a little bit for people that don't know Brian Sladek. You
Yeah.
two were married, or your story goes way beyond the fact of when you got married. You guys knew each other for years prior. So if you
Sure.
would, please.
Yeah, of course. I have to start by saying Karen Sladek, Bry's mom, says hello.
Oh
She
yeah,
was just
the team
raving
mom.
about your dad, Tom. She was just saying like what a wonderful guy he was. And she really remembers your family growing up when you guys were playing baseball together, you know?
Oh yeah, she was the best team mom ever. She always like took care of us after the
Yeah.
games. My like one of my favorite things that I look back on in playing baseball in Palos Hills at Bill Dunnett Field right off 103rd
Oh yeah.
is having hot dogs and Green River and Vintner's chips
Oh my gosh,
after a
how
game.
funny.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Brian's mom always there. Brian's
Yes.
dad gave me my first catcher's mitt and
Oh,
I
no way.
yeah, I caught from Little League all the way through college. And
My
yeah,
gosh.
that was a profound experience because I never
That's so
caught
cool.
before. I was the
Yeah.
husky kid, so you put the husky kid back behind the plate. So that's
Behind
what
the
happened.
plate, right?
But yeah, Mrs. Sladek, awesome team mom. So
That's
please tell her I said
awesome.
hi.
Aw, that's cool. Yeah, I'll pass on your hello to her.
Yeah.
So Brian and I met as freshmen at Stagg. We were 14, and we kind of always had like a crush on each other, but he always had a girlfriend, or I always had a boyfriend, that type thing, moving on up. But we remained really good friends. We just had a great connection. We had great chemistry. We kept in touch through college.
Where'd you
Um,
go?
I went to Colorado State in Fort Collins, and Brian went to University of Central Florida, outside
Yeah,
Orlando.
you guys went
And
far.
yes, we sure did. We really did. And I had family out there, and he was looking forward to being pre-med for a year. But
Aren't we all?
I know, right? Yes, pre-med or pre-vet. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
sure.
But yeah, so we remained in close contact, and I'll never forget, he called me our junior year and told me he was calling me from the ER and told me that he had blood cancer. And we were 19, and he ended up coming home for treatment and had treatment at Rush here in the city.
Hmm.
And um, took classes at Moraine Valley through his treatment, and then once his treatment was finished, he was in remission after a stem cell transplant, and a very intense treatment at Rush. He finished off school at DePaul,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so then after DePaul, and I had moved. I was in Colorado for a few more years, but every time I come home, like I came home to visit him in the hospital. He came out to Colorado to visit me once or twice. So, we
Were you
always
guys
remained
dating?
very close. No, we were not dating.
You were
We were
dating. You were
clearly
just
not
really
dating.
good friends.
Yes, we really were. Yes, but
Yeah.
I always just loved him.
Yeah,
He
I get
claimed
it.
the same. But yeah, it was just one of those like special relationships. And then after his treatment, he felt like tired of being cancer boy, and he wanted to try life out west. So he moved to San Diego. And it
What is with
was
Midwestern
maybe,
guys who want to move to either
yes,
Florida or San Diego? I lived in
right?
Florida at the same time Brian was. Honestly, in our
Really?
99 2000, I was in Florida.
Come on, that's so
UCF.
funny.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. What
Yeah,
a
I just
small
was like
world.
following behind him. Yeah, but we had lost
Yeah.
touch it a little bit at that point.
Yes, of course. I mean, and who doesn't after high school,
Yeah, this is pre-Facebook.
Yes. Oh yeah, pre all the social media and the cell
Yeah.
phones. Thank God.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Um, I know, right? But yeah, he moved to San Diego and just like absolutely loved it. And it was within a year of that, I moved to Florida. So for a zoo job. So my passion was always kind of, my passion has always been animals. But, during Stagg, I worked at Worth Animal Hospital down the street, which is still
Oh
there
yeah.
as a VCA,
111th. Yep.
Yes, on 111th. Yeah. So it's just like ingrained in me. So I ended up working for the zoo in Tampa, which is it's now Zoo Tampa. It used to be Lowry Park Zoo, and worked there for a few years. And when Bri lived in San Diego, it turned out at one point we were both single, and he was like, "Hey, I want to come down and visit you." And I was like, "Great." And like the rest is history. His grandma lived in Dunedin. I lived in St. Petersburg, worked in Tampa. So yeah, that's really like, how it all truly started. And a few years later, we were married and decided that we wanted to move home to be closer to family, to start our own family,
Where did you guys end up get marrying at?
We got pretty much the church that I was raised in is Our Lady of the Woods, off of 131st in Orland.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yes, we got married there. And our parents still live here. Karen still lives in Palos Hills. My parents were still in Palos at the time. Now they're in Lamont too. So
is Karen right off of Roberts Road in that townhouse area?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I remember play dates over there. We didn't call them play dates back then. We just went to go play, right?
Yeah, play. Can we play, right?
Yeah. So when you guys got married,
so we call them play dates.
Yeah, exactly. But when you guys were married, were you both in Chicago, or did you get married and then were you living in Florida or San Diego? Where were you guys?
We got married and then we were living in Florida.
Okay.
Which, going to visit him in San Diego, I was like, I can't believe you're leaving this place for me. I mean, it's just insane. Like, it's gorgeous, everything about it. And, but yeah, we ended up in Florida for a few years. And then when we realized, we wanted to be closer to our family, to start our own family, my point was, there are 2 zoos in Chicago, and the aquarium, of course, can't leave out the shed. Sure. But I had done a stint at Lincoln Park Zoo as an extern and was really looking forward to getting to Brookfield, hopefully. And like my dream came true. And I scored a position at Brookfield Zoo as a vet tech in their vet hospital. So I'm still there now in a lesser capacity, but I'm still there. So we moved home in 2009. And we were looking for a place in the city, and within months of moving home, he was diagnosed with his second round of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So his blood cancer, we didn't know if it came back or if it was considered a new cancer, but we were living with my parents at the time, and he had a great job at Goldman Sachs, and I was at the zoo, and he went through another super intensive diagnosis, treatment, at Rush, again at Rush. So after that, he really struggled, to put it mildly. He really struggled with his mortality, with meaning and purpose. And he decided to run for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Man of the Year campaign. It's the Man Woman of the Year campaign. It's an annual campaign. They have every year. I think it ends up being in June. It ends up completing in June. But it's like 10 weeks of intense fundraising. We had no clue what we were getting into. And he ended up winning. This was 2012. He ended up winning Man of the Year. Yeah, I know, right? Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had events all over the city, all over Chicago. We had events also in Denver, in Tampa, just to raise awareness, and to fundraise. And we raised just over $100,000 in 10 weeks. So it was awesome.
Yeah, I remember just I spent more time with Brian, obviously, when we were younger, and he was, you couldn't tell him, no, you can't do it. He would tell you, let me show you how I can do it, kind of a person, right? And I remember we bonded over our love of all things Cubs. We were the 2 rando Cub fans surrounded by a sea of White Sox fans. So like you'd see each other at school or something, and you would see like he would always wear Cub stuff.
Yes.
I always wore Cubs. So you would just be like brothers in arms, because there wasn't many Cubs fans at Stagg for one, or even in Little League. Everybody except for like Jeff Maruzars, I think, was a Cubs fan. Yeah, I remember that was only like the three of us. That was it. And Jeff was
Hmm.
in Brian's league, Brian's grade. I was a year behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was Brian's catcher. I remember catching him all the time when we were
Aw.
on like the Palos Hills Cardinals. We never got to be on the Cubs, sadly.
Yes. The Cardinals. You had to go there, huh?
Yeah, yeah, we sure did.
Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, that was tough. And I remember that too. Born, raised myself a White Sox fan, of
Mm.
course. Over the years, and we always said that we had, or people would always say that we had a mixed marriage, right? Because he was the Cubs fan, I was the Sox fan, and they gave
Sure.
us both the opposite teams, paraphernalia for years, for years.
Of course, yeah.
But I did end up converting. I just knew more about the Cubs, and just they're so lovable. They're so dang lovable. And when I want cheaper seats, I go to Comiskey. I will always call it Comiskey.
Yep.
But you just gotta love the Cubbies.
Yeah, Wrigley Field is a special place. It really is.
It is. It is. And I have to say, during Brian's last or most recent illness, Anthony Rizzo, David Ross reached out to him. So did Ryan Sandberg. I mean, they just have such like a deeper place in my heart.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so and that kind of correlates to what this event that you have coming up, and it's
Sure.
recharging wellness
Yes.
after a battle
For,
of cancer.
yes. Yeah. So to to summarize here, Brian
Yeah.
actually passed away from his fourth blood cancer. He ended up getting non-Hodgkin's lymphoma again.
It was almost like, are you got to be kidding me? Like,
Oh, it was such a kick in the gut. Yes. So after that fundraiser campaign, I'll back up just a little bit. After that
mhm.
fundraising campaign for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, the executive director came to him 6 months later and was like, "You want a job?" They like wanted him in. And he, of course, he wanted to make a difference and in other people's lives. And he truly has, with his involvement in Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. He ended up in a managerial and then a director role. And during all of this time, we ended up having twins, my son and my daughter, Ave and Vivi. And, he was diagnosed for the third time when they were 2.5. And then was in remission for a short time after a third stem cell transplant. There's not many people in the world who've had, more than one or two, and he had 3, came through them with flying colors. And then about a year later, he was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome, basically another blood cancer that was due to all of his lifetime of treatment.
Oh gosh.
Yes. So, lots of ups and downs, more downs than ups, but he was always very focused on helping others. And that's really how he coped, and we realized the importance of quality time and family time. I mean, before we even had the kids. So family's always closest to us. And then I myself, through these trials,
Yeah,
have
that's
just
right.
felt like I want to help other people as well. Yes, my heart, my love is in veterinary medicine, especially with zoo and exotics, with wildlife, and conservation of species, but when it comes to our family, I just wanted to do better also for us, and kind of spread the word. So I, in turn, became a consultant with his prompting. Like, he was the one encouraging me because I was doing all this research, better products, healthier options,
Mhm.
not just around the house, but like personal care, shampoo, face wash, all the stuff. And for our kids, especially. So I became a brand advocate for a company called Beauty Counter. And I'm still doing that as well, but it's not my main focus, but I do love it. And then I called it online. I didn't want that to be the focus. I wanted health and wellness to be the focus.
Mhm.
So we came up with Sladeks Seeking Wellness. So that was just kind of like my, I'm not huge into social media, but I'm trying to get better. So that was my page, Sladeks Seeking Wellness. And after Brian died in the late summer of 2019, I just always felt him encouraging me. Yes. to put it gently, to put it mildly. I always felt his encouragement to keep kind of heading down this path. So I turned Sladeks Seeking Wellness into an LLC. So it's not it's not a nonprofit.
Oh, I'm
It is
sorry.
an
The
LLC.
LLC.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So my idea with this, which was also prompted by a dear family friend of ours who's a 3-time cancer survivor herself, her and her husband bought a ranch out west, and it's a wellness ranch. And she said,
wow.
and she's from Lockport, and she said,
Southsider.
Yes, another Southsider. Yes. And she's amazing and hilarious. And yes, she's like Chicago Beth Dutton, not as mafia like, but
oh yeah, now you're speaking my language.
She's incredible. She's incredible. I love her. She's got a mouth on her that I adore, and a passion and a faith like nobody I've ever met. And she came to me and said, you know what? I see you running retreats out here. And I said, I would love to, but I don't have any designations behind my name. I don't have any certifications. That has not been my career. And she said, you know what? People want to connect with experience. People want to connect with your heart and the difficulties that you've been through. And I've seen you inspire other people, and, you know, you can do this, you know? So I said, all right, let's look into it. And here we are 2 years later, and I'm having my first recharging wellness through, oh my gosh, really? I've had a few, Tom, but this is my first real one, okay, for Cancer Thrivors in particular, recharging wellness for Cancer Thrivors. And Cancer Thrivors doesn't just mean patients or survivors. It's for people who want to bring a caregiver, or want to bring, like I have one woman from town here who's bringing her adult daughter who really helped her through. Another friend from Louisiana, cancer survivors coming. Another person that I've not met in person from Colorado. So these are located in Southwest Colorado at a gorgeous ranch. It's like 1,800 acres. About a little over hour and a half, right around an hour and a half from Colorado Springs, about 3 hours from Denver. But this is a retreat. It's 4 days and 3 nights. It is all inclusive. Yeah.
May 21st through May 24th.
Yes.
Right?
Tuesday, May 21st through Friday, May 24th. And that includes like the accommodations, all of the food, the activities. They have 18 horses, 2 pot-bellied pigs, 5 or 6 goats, a few cows, you know, cats, dogs. I mean, you know, it's just an amazing place. ATVs, hiking, stargazing. It's really incredible. And it's just so serene.
Yeah. And people definitely need to get away, right? After, you know, I mean, cancer is off. My mom has just been diagnosed for the 3rd time in her life, breast cancer. Yeah. And she's beaten it twice, and it's come back a 3rd time. So she has she has like, you know, a fake breast and her OG breast, and that one has turned on her. So she's like, that's it. Take it off. I don't want it. I don't, you know, because the treatment's much different. So I'm very familiar, you know, I think everybody out there is probably familiar with somebody that's had cancer and have it come back, you know? So, I mean, it's something that's rings true for me. My mom was diagnosed when I was like 12, and now at 44, she's diagnosed again. So, for the 3rd time, I should say, but, that's why this kind of retreat is so important, because it's just to get away. Like I tell my mom and dad, like, just take mom, get out of here, just go away. But they're Southsiders, so it's like trying to pull teeth. You know, they don't like to take vacations when they should.
It's totally true.
Oh, gosh, it's
I would love to connect with your mom at some point, because as you're telling me about your own mom, and oh my gosh, I will add her to my prayer list. I would love to connect with her just separately, you know. You saying that like kind of reminded me, like within my own story, I'm always so focused on Brian and my grief for Brian, because he was my soulmate, we buried that lead, and my rock, right? Yes. And I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer the summer that he died. So I was diagnosed in June. He was in a horrific hospitalization at University of Chicago, where we were going for treatment at the time. And then I was diagnosed, and I was like, you got to be kidding me, you know? Yes. And I had 2 rounds under my belt when he died at the end of August, and then went through another almost 2 straight years of treatment myself with chemo and surgery and radiation and more surgery, more surgeries, and another preventative chemo. And, um, if I thought that I had turned my life around before this, I really just feel like I come at life at a whole different angle,
Yeah,
at
I
this
bet. I
point.
mean, how are you? Like
I'm good.
health wise?
I'm in
Yeah.
remission. I'm great. I've been in remission since late 2020, early 2021, something around somewhere around there.
Oh, just in
Um,
time for the pandemic. Here,
right.
deal with this now.
No. Oh my God. I was going through treatment during the pandemic. It was
Oh,
terrible. So like here I am missing him. So I mean, just so devastated. I almost didn't care about my own cancer, or about my own life, to be totally honest. I was
mhm.
missing him so, so terribly. Yes, of course, I want to be here for the kids, but the way I thought of it was like, if I make it, like, great. I will love raising our children. And if I don't, I'll be with him. And like that was kind of appealing to me at the time,
Yeah, I get that.
especially experiencing like just such like devastation, right? And then shock on top of this with my own health.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
reading that on like you posted it on social media. You were very,
Yeah.
upfront and
Yeah.
honest about it and raw, and a lot of people can't do that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I was one of many that were just like, "You've got to be kidding me,"
Yeah.
And that's why this is so important to be able to offer people this opportunity for this
Yep.
retreat to go
Yep.
away. So, how many slots are open?
Sure. So there's opening for 10 people.
Hmm.
Thank you for asking. And
Sure.
right now we have 4 committed. We have 6 open slots. And I have to talk about the cost because of course, if it were up to me, I wouldn't be charging anybody, right? And that is a goal one day, to get corporate sponsorship, to be able to provide for my 3 areas of focus, which are, patients, cancer patients and their families, widows and widowers and their kids, and also women's wellness in general. Just
Yeah.
simply
Hmm.
put, I feel like as a mom, and that was one of the first things on my website, like as a mom, we put everybody else in front of us, in front of their needs, in front of our needs. And we kind of don't really do the self-care thing, and kind of take care of us last. And that needs to change. It's really important.
Yeah.
So yes, back to wanting to provide this for everyone, and eventually getting to the point where I'm able to spend more time on the business side and connect with businesses and corporations about sponsoring families and patients and things like that. For right now, typically an all-inclusive cost at this ranch is $2,300, which honestly, for 4 days and 3 nights, that is on the very low end of the retreat spectrum for
Yeah.
everything that's included. All the meals, all the activities, including yoga and horseback riding and ATVs and hiking and, guided hikes and all of that. And like I said, the owner of the ranch, she is a certified raw vegan chef. So she has her own nutritional component that she's going to bring into it as well. And we stay in these super cute, they're kind of like rustic chic, I say. They're like tiny homes or park models. They're really cool. And I mean, you're just out in nature and it's gorgeous. So back to the cost, $2,300. However, the ranch is going through some changes. So things are
Hmm.
really going to change in the next year and a half here. So we talked about bringing the cost down, basically just to get people there, because I have these 4 people so interested. I just really wanted to make this happen for them. And so did the ranch. So the cost is, if we can get 5 or more people, it's $600. If we can
It's
get
nothing.
it's nothing. If we can get
Not
less
for
than that,
that.
if we can get so more than 5 people, $600. If we could get up to 5 people, it's $500 per person. However, just a few weeks ago, I received scholarship funding for 3 people to attend this retreat. So essentially, the cost is nothing for 3 people. Um, you just have to get yourself there. So,
Yeah, that's a deal.
transportation, right? So airfare and transportation is not included. And myself, I've been on several retreats where they've been kind of similarly like that. A breast cancer retreat, a widow's retreat, where they're able to scholarship you to go, but you do have to, cover your transportation, whether it be airfare or driving or whatnot, renting a car or an Uber. Yes. So I'm super excited because this is a new opportunity and I did not see this coming. So to have another nonprofit offer, the Andrew Wishart Foundation, their family's South Side as well, and they have an amazing, amazing foundation that helps support cancer families who've been dealing with cancer. We were beneficiary as well back in 2019 or 2020. And then they came to me and said, we want to help bring you some retreat attendees because people really need this.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And for folks that want to learn more about it, is the website sladekseekingwellness.com?
Yes. So it's www.sladeks, as in plural, my last name,
Plural,
Sladeks. No, it's okay. I should have rethought that, but it's
no, you're fine. It's
SeekingWellness.com. Yes. And that's on, Facebook and Instagram too. But yes, all the information is on there and people can just reach out to me directly too, if they have any questions,
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about after, or you were looking for, purpose, or Brian was encouraging you after has been gone to do something. And you said, no, it was like pretty evident that he was encouraging me, even though he wasn't physically here on this planet. What do you mean by that? I was curious.
Of course, you have to ask an emotional question, Tom.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. I tell my kids all the time, it's natural and normal to cry. Crying is like laughing, it's just uncomfortable for us, right? So, yeah, I mean, I just have felt his presence. And he's kind of more of like an introvert, private person, like back behind the scenes anyway, like in general in life. I'm like the talker, the socializer, all of that, and the outgoing one. And he's very much the observer. So I really feel like I have felt his presence on several occasions. That just have told me like I'm doing the right thing. I'm headed in the right direction. And yes, I still love my veterinary medicine career. I just feel like I need to do more, and I want to connect. Like whenever I hear that someone, especially like a young person or someone who's been diagnosed with breast cancer like your mom, or like a young person going through cancer treatment, or just simply a widow or widower, I just feel this pull to be at their side and offer resources or just an ear. And I'm not trying to solve anything because nobody can, or like be there for the kid or something, just to let them know that there are other people out there that understands. And that's so important in these retreats because you feel so alone,
Yeah. I mean, you're a badass. I mean, the things that you have had to deal with, and you're sitting here talking to me, smiling, and being able to share the way you are and the way you have been through your entire journey is admirable. And I appreciate it very much, you taking time just to talk to me about it. And, it was great to just talk about Brian and all the, all the fun, healthy moments, of course, mixed in with what happened, of course. But I mean, I remember, he loved Pearl Jam. He loved, I thought I'd show you. I don't know if you can see, but did you see that right there?
Oh yeah, I saw it right when we got out. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Like, and this. Do you see that? That's from Wrigley
awesome.
Field.
That's awesome.
So, like I said, we had this very parallel way about our lives after like high school. So I've always watched from afar, and I was jealous when he lived in San Diego. For sure. In Florida, he was there afterwards and stuff like that. So, and you're both, the love that you have for both of each other to this day is still admirable. And I'm just happy that you were okay to tell your story. So I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, it's definitely taken some time, I know he dealt with a lot of anger, rightfully so, on and off. And so have I. And, I feel like at this point, our faith is what has really, really, really kind of shaped us in this, like, and for me today, and I know for him at the end of his life, because it's like you can't go through these things and not feel like there's help that you can't see, right? And God pulling for you. And I could go on, but I won't. And just really wanting to help other people, like through your own difficulties. And that brings me joy. It brings me joy to talk about Brian. The kids and I talk about him every single day. It's not like it was decades ago where like you don't talk about your loved one that is gone. And it's just so much healthier for us to get that out and to still honor him and his memory. And I'm so proud that I was his wife,
I couldn't have said it any better than that. I mean, really, just describing the both of you, and I was proud to have known him. When I reminisce about like, high school, I love the fact that we played Little League, that there's some weird connection about Little League awesome. Growing up in Palos Hills. I loved it though, because I was from a different school, and Brian went to Conrad, and I was at Palos South.
Me too.
So I only knew him when we would play baseball, and then of course in high school. So, but he was this fellow Cub fan that was always gracious to me, a wonderful human being, and I'm glad that two wonderful human beings met each other. And the story that you guys have, I'm sure just this alone, sharing what you have talked about, will help somebody, even without the retreat. Just hearing somebody talk about that, you might get dealt a horrible hand, but there's still life to be lived afterwards, and it's what you make of it, and you are choosing to do some really great things. So, I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks. That's my goal.
Absolutely. One more time with the website so people can look up the information.
Thanks. It's Sladeks Seeking Wellness. So that's SLADEKS SEEKING WELLNESS.com.
Thank you so much for taking time to chat with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Take care. Connect your mom with me.